going on YouTube? This is BX778 back at you with another video, and today I have the Asus ROG Zephyrus Duo 16. This is my overview, thoughts, impressions, bottom line in regards to this laptop. This laptop that you're looking at here, I purchased it from Amazon.com for $2,499.99 plus tax. So the total was $2,649.99, right? This is the lower end model. The specs on this one is an AMD Ryzen 7 6800H, 16 gigabytes of DDR5 4800 megahertz RAM, 1 terabyte NVMe, storage drive SSD, and then also Nvidia GeForce 3060 with 6 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM. All right, so this is the specs on it. It also has a Wi-Fi 6E wireless adapter inside, and also with the monitors that it comes with, dual monitors. The main one is a 500 nit brightness, 1920 by 1200, which is full HD plus. It also has 100% of the DC IP3 spectrum as well. And it's a very nice and bright screen, and the secondary screen is half of that. I think it's 1920 by 550. Okay, but you know, it's not as vibrant and as bright as the main screen, right? But those are just some of the specs. What I'm going to do is show you around the chassis, let you know what I think about the build quality, give you a little bit of insight in my experience with it over the past couple of days, and let you know my conclusion of whether or not I'm going to keep it or I'm going to return it. Okay. All right, so first looking at the chassis, as you can see here on the chassis, you see the ROG I right there. And again, it's inverted, and that's because of the way it opens up. But this is the ROG I right there. It has like a fuchsia purple kind of gradient going on there. It also has a similar gradient going across here in this diagonal line. It says Republic of Gamers across it. Here it has this design over here. Looks like small pinholes were placed in it, but it's actually not pinholes. It just gives you the illusion of that. But I would say it's a nice subdued gaming design. It doesn't scream gamer, which I think is cool. Also on the back, there is 2 speakers on the back, and also you have a translucent smoke gray casing that is over some of the hinge mechanisms on the back, as well as over some of the circuitry for the main board I/O. Also over here you have a power light, and again I'm gonna lift it up and show you some of that in a moment. Here is the rubber palm rest that comes with it. Okay, and sticking out over here is the power cord for the 240 watt power adapter, which you can see right here. I would say it's a nice size, nice heft. I've seen bigger. And that one definitely looks like Asus took the time to put the R&D into making it as compact as possible. Okay. All right, so let's unplug it, and let me give you a look around the laptop. Let's move this out the way. So I'm gonna show you it closed, and then we're gonna open it up. All right, so here's the design, so you can see it. All right. All right, and the translucent area that I'm talking about is this part right here at the top. Okay, right here at the top, this is the translucent side. Is your 2 speakers right here, top firing speakers right there. Over here you have some indicator lights. You have one for power, you have one for hard drive activity, also the one for power that's charging as well, and you have another activity light there as well at the top. Right over here on the side, you have your vent right here, your exhaust vent, and then your ports, your power port, USB type A, USB type C, micro SD, and a 3.5 millimeter headset jack combo. All right, on the front, there's nothing really there. There's a little indenture here, so you can put your finger in and lift the screen up. All right, on this side is another type C, USB type C, and another exhaust vent right there. Okay. On the back, you have your 2.5 gigabit LAN port. You have a USB Type A, and you have an HDMI 2.1. All right, here's your exhaust fans over here as well. All right, so on the bottom, I'm gonna cover up some stuff, but just so you can get a look at what the bottom looks like. Here's your 2 intake grills. There's an intake grill here as well. There's two flanking areas for speakers right here, and there's another one right here. Okay, here's your rubber feet, several of them all around at the top as well. Okay, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws that you have to unscrew in order to take this back part off. I have not done that, but yeah. Also, here's this new design. See that design right there? It's the same thing that's on the wrist rest right there. That's a new Asus design that they're doing that I think is very unique and cool. So let's go ahead and open it up. Take a look at it, see what it looks like when it's opened up. But let me give you my impressions. First thing is, this thing is a fingerprint magnet. So yes, as you're handling it, there will be a lot of fingerprints. So just be prepared to kind of have a microfiber cloth on you to wipe it down from time to time. You're definitely going to need to do that. Also, the build quality is solid. This chassis is very rigid. It doesn't have a lot of flex. The metal that it's made out of on the bottom and some on the lid is really, really good. So I would say I would give it high kudos for excellent build quality. I mean, build quality is second to none, right? But let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what it looks like opened up, right? So in order to open up, what I'm going to do is put my finger under this latch, and we're going to lift. And as we lift, you're going to see that bottom secondary screen shift up, right? I'm going to put the rubber wrist palm rest right here. And then we're going to readjust the camera so you can see the screen before we power it on. Okay, and as you can see, the laptop is fully opened, right? So we're going to go ahead and power it on. We're going to press this power button right here and power it on. All right, it has per key RGB. The RGB on here is nice and vibrant. Right, it also has Windows Hello, so there's an IR infrared beam there, as you can see there blinking at the top. All right, it also has a 720p webcam, which is it's average. I wouldn't say it's above average, it's average. Even with good lighting, it's average. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and log in, and we're gonna take a look further. All right, so now we're fully logged in, and as you can see currently, I have the second screen powered off. There is a hotkey that you can press to toggle the secondary screen. So let's say you don't need it or you want to conserve battery life, you can turn the second screen off. And you do so by pressing this button right here to the right of the ROG I key. On the screen, it says turn on second screen. That's what I just did. And give it a second. Boom, turns on the second screen. Second screen is touchscreen. Okay, and there's a control bar that you can put to the left, to the right, or to the bottom and center it. It says ROG Zephyrus here. You have your ROG I. Now I'm gonna point out some things that I do like about it, and because this laptop is very deep, especially when you add this palm rest, the camera angles for me showing it to you is gonna be a little awkward, but we'll work with it. But nonetheless, I'll get closer, do a zoom so you can kind of see what some of the things is I'm talking about, but I want to keep the layout like this while I discuss it, okay? A couple of things that I do want to go over. The keyboard. Now, the keyboard has 1.8 millimeter of travel distance. It does not bottom out when you press it. It has a nice click to it. I would say the keyboard is great. However, if you are doing a lot of fast typing, the keys are a bit slippery. So it threw off my accuracy a bit. Gaming wise, it was phenomenal. I had no complaints. I was able to game with no issues, right? No slippage, no nothing, right? But typing wise, the first thing is the keys are slightly slippery. Maybe for me it is. Maybe if you have oily fingers, it'll be real slippery. Maybe if you have dry fingers, it probably won't be. But that's one thing to note. The second thing is the placement of the keyboard is shifted over to the left. Because as you can see, there is a trackpad over here to the right. So you do have to get used to that. Also, can you use this on your lap without the wrist pad? Yes, but it'll be very awkward because your palms will be floating and it's not natural, right? So what I would recommend, get a lap desk that has a built-in palm rest, right? I have one. Get one of those because again, it'll act as the palm rest. In the absence of this, if you're gonna put on your lap, your wrist can rest comfortably and you can type. All right. Now trackpad, excellent precision. It's great. Tracks very well. The only issue is that it is narrow. So what I've seen is that when I had to really move around the mouse pad a lot, I felt my finger hitting the keys or floating off of the actual deck. Now, it's not extreme. You can get away with it. Like if you're just doing some regular web browsing or whatever the case would be, you could get away with it. But this narrowness is just not ideal, right? So I would recommend using a mouse. And if you're going to use this as a desktop replacement, I recommend getting a desktop grade mouse, okay? Also, there's this little slot right here, which I'm going to show you in a second. It is also translucent. It allows you to peer into the motherboard circuitry, which I think is very neat. It's very subtle, unlike the Asus ROG Flow Z13, where it has that little window on the back. This one right here is you can only see it, right? So if you're somewhere in an internet cafe or at a library or class or whatever, people will not be glaring at this window with this RGB popping out of it, right? So I like the fact that it's very subtle and it's tucked away in there. Very neat to look at. I think that's a nice design touch, so kudos to Asus for that. The power button is right here. All right, the power button always stays lit red, even if you turn the keyboard off, like what the keyboard is now that I have it on battery because I unplugged the power. The keyboard light right here for the power stays on, and there's nothing you can do to turn it off. I've looked in the BIOS, I've looked in the manual, I tried some shortcut keys. It does not turn off, right? Now, it didn't bother me, but it may bother other people if they want it all dark and they don't want any lights on it. But yes, this does not turn off at all. All right, just wanted to note that. All right, the wrist rest is very good. It's rubber. It's hefty, has weight to it. It feels high quality. It feels very comfortable to use in a Type 1. So I'm glad that they included this. This was an excellent touch on it right here. Now let's move up to a couple of other things, right? First and foremost, this main screen I think is excellent. It is a 1920 by 1200 FHD plus screen. That's your resolution. QHD plus would have been better, but at the price point of $2499.99, being this is the lowest end model, you do not get the QHD screen. It also has 500 nits of brightness, which the peak brightness is 500 nits. I've seen it get around 400. It'll peak that in the center. However, it doesn't get overly bright where it gets washed out. So I think this is an excellent screen. What I will say is it's a bit hazy. It has like a maybe like a I don't know how to say it, but it has like a hazy kind of essence to the screen. It's not noticeable like that. You'd have to really look for it. It may make it look a little washed out slightly, but it's not that bad. Matter of fact, if you drop this down to half brightness, it's still excellent. So there's no issues with brightness. In regards to uniformity of the backlight, I do see when you power it on as all black, you do see a little bit of grayish over here shining up, but you don't really notice it in regular usage. Only when I'm booting up on a dark black screen, you may see it, but it's not that distracting. You know, the screen, again, you know, it's like I said, it's not really bothersome if you're using it at a distance. When you get all close to it, then yes, you may be able to see some individual pixels if you have great eyesight. But for the most part, you're not going to notice it unless you're really close to it. But I think the screen is great. The webcam, like I mentioned before, 720p. It's not the greatest webcam, and you know it'll get you by. It's average, but it's really not. However, the Windows Hello works perfect. No issues with the Windows Hello. It unlocks accurately. No issues with that. All right. Also, another thing I want to mention is heat dissipation. So it does a great job of dissipating heat, but it does get hot. I've used it on performance mode, and it's gotten as hot as maybe 85 to 88 degrees Celsius. And that's with gaming, running tests, doing all types of stuff. I have not seen it crack 90 degrees Celsius, which I think is great, right? But it did get close to it, right? But I think it dissipates heat great. I think it does a great job of dissipating heat. And the reason why I think is because this screen lifts up, the secondary screen lifts up at an angle, it has additional space to intake cool air and blow it over those heat pipes, right? So I think that this is an excellent design. Whoever designed, whatever engineer designed it, in order to bring cool heat from the top and from the bottom, and you have 4 exhaust vents, which is excellent. So the heat dissipation is great on here. Another thing, I did not notice any coil whine. That was a concern that I know some people pointed out with the 3070 Ti and the 3080 Ti models, because a lot of people says it may be due to the screen and the screen's connector into the motherboard circuitry. That's where they think the coil whine is. Again, I haven't tried those higher end models. This model has no coil whine, so if you're interested, definitely you want to invest in this one. If you do get a high end one and there's some coil whine, if you like the design, I would say get the lower end model. Also, reason why I got this lower end model, because this is an expensive laptop for the components that you get in it, for the hardware in it. You can get something cheaper than this, $300-400 cheaper than this with the same specs, maybe even $500 cheaper than this with the same specs. You don't get the secondary screen, and the chassis and keyboard and the speakers supposedly have 6 speakers. And by the way, the speaker fidelity is good. I wouldn't say it's great. It is good. It gets fairly loud. There is some slight bass. The trebles are not bad, right? So the speakers is decent, right? I won't say it's excellent. I want to say it's great, but it is decent, right? But the reason why I got it at this price point, because I think this best represents the people who like the design, but cannot justify spending $3,500 for the 3070 Ti and a QHD model, or $39,999, $4,000 for the 3080 Ti model. I think that is grossly expensive. And I personally, even though if this was my main machine, would want a 3070 Ti, I would probably look elsewhere, because I just think the price to performance ratio is ridiculous. You're paying for it because of the design, the secondary screen, build quality, everything like that, but it's a bit pricey, all right? Also, I want to point out the dual screen. So the dual screen on here works great. The secondary screen, I will say, is not as crisp and sharp as the main screen. It's not as crisp and sharp as the main screen. It is a little washed out. Not too bad, but you'll be able to see it's a little washed out compared to the main screen. However, it's not the end of the world. It's usable. I haven't seen myself use it a lot. One thing that I did use it when I was gaming with Halo Infinite, I did use that secondary screen maybe to look up certain things about the game, to do some web browsing, even play some music like Spotify, right? Or YouTube Music. And I thought that was pretty unique. So that was helpful there. The ScreenPad Plus also works with certain apps. So if you like, Adobe apps that you use for photo editing, video editing, also Dying Light 2, you get that for free with this laptop. The ScreenPad does an excellent job of giving you that secondary screen options to interface and to tweak while you're playing the game. Also, you can put a YouTube video on there while you're doing your schoolwork, while you're doing your business work or whatever on the main screen. So there's a lot of good usages that you can get out of it and use scenarios. For me, I wasn't using it all the time. Half the time I had it turned off. But when I did turn it on, it did help in various scenarios. Like one example is there's a contrast issue with this when it comes to Halo Infinite. I've experienced the same thing in my Lenovo Legion 5, where the game is really, really dark, and you can turn the brightness up to kind of compensate for that, but it doesn't fix the problem. I've looked all over forums for a fix. I have not found one yet, so if anybody does know one, please leave it in the comments below. But yeah, this experiences the same issue, and the difference is this is a different screen, right? This is a different manufacturing laptop, right? This is the Asus. This is also a different graphics card that we're using on here. So I don't know why that contrast issue is there. Some people say it's connected to Dolby Vision. Some people say it's the color profile. Some people say it's HDR. I've tried all of that. I was unable to fix it. But it's also rears its ugly head here. I don't have that issue on other laptops or my desktop. Only these 2 laptops. And other laptops I've had, I have not even seen that issue playing Halo Infinite on those either. So I'm not sure what that is. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because while I was playing Halo, on the secondary screen, I pulled up the internet, right? Web browser Chrome, and I was researching while I was playing the game, which I thought was pretty cool. So there are use cases for this. Again, if you are a programmer, right? Again, great use case for if you're doing AutoCAD, video editing with Adobe. This is great. The second screen I think is excellent. Also, you could put all other like mini apps and stuff on there too. So it does come in handy if you're an excellent multitasker and it's something you're looking for. I think it's great. But what I will say is the angle that the screen is at. I found myself tilting my head forward where it became uncomfortable looking at it for a long period of time. My neck, back of my neck was getting kind of sore. So that's something else you want to keep in mind. I think ideally, if you want to use it functionally, I would say get a laptop stand and put it underneath and a laptop riser that's going to lift it up so that the screen is at eye level, and then this will be shifted up a bit more, and then that strain on the back of your neck won't be as prominent. So I definitely want to make sure I point that out. All right. Another thing that I don't like, show it to you real quick, is this power cord, this barrel power cord right here, right? That plugs into the side. This is like the worst place you can put power. I mean, it gets in the way. I don't know if you do it like this. I guess it's not too bad. If you flip it the other way, it's right in front of the vents. So, I mean, if they're gonna do a update to this or a later revision, my suggestion would be to put it in the rear if you're gonna put it on the side, or just put it on the back altogether, right? But I do not like this here. I can work around it, but it's definitely not ideal. So that's something that I definitely want to point out. Also, these ports here are all over here to the side, right? At the bottom side, on the bottom, you have one Type-C on this side, which is a little further up. This one, everything else is all over here. Now, I don't mind having some of that here, but for some people, or for me, my preference in port placement would be here, a little further back, or all of it, or most of it to the side, right? To the back. So that's just my preference. It'll differ, but that's my opinion, right? When it comes to port selection, I think there's a decent amount of ports there. You do get two Type A's, you do get two Type C's, you do get a micro SD. So if you are doing video editing or recording, I would say get a micro SD card and put it in a SD card, converter, and you can use it like that. So this is good for people who are creators. So that's good, and I would say that that's cool. Let me see what else. Fan noise. Now, fan noise, it does ramp up. It does get loud, but not unbearably so. Like I've tested a lot of high-end gaming laptops, and this is definitely not at the top when it comes to. For example, I have the MSI GE76, the Tiamat Dragon Edition. That thing gets loud, right? This doesn't get as loud as that, but you can. It is audible when it ramps up. You can hear it, but it's not the loudest out there, right? But you can hear it. But the good thing is, it is doing a great job of dissipating heat, so I can't really be mad at it for that. Okay. Also, let me see what else I want to discuss with y'all. The performance. Let's go over performance, right? The Cinebench R23, the CPU multi-core score is 13,741 points, and the CPU single core score is 1,540 points. Okay. The ROG CPU Z CPU benchmark test, the single thread processor comes out to 634.2, and the CPU multi-thread test comes out to 6,318.2. Okay. The Geeks 3D Furmark test is 7,841 points, 131 frames per second, okay, and 6,000 milliseconds. All right. The max GPU temp is 85 degrees Celsius. That's what it documented. All right. And then lastly, the Passmark rating performance test score is 6,177.3. So we have a 25,823.5 for the CPU mark test, a 680.2 for the 2D graphics mark, a 16,974.8 for the 3D graphics mark, a 2,704.2 for the memory mark, and a 38,793.1 for your disk mark. Okay, so again, decent rating for the pass mark, and those are those four scores. So what I would say as far as performance, being a lower end model, it's not bad. While gaming, I wanted to test to see if it'll pull the 140 watts that it can boost to. I saw it hit 126, 127 watts while gaming, but technically it can go up to 140 watts. But I've only seen it at 120 to 127 watts, and that's with 98 to 99% GPU utilization, right? Playing Halo Infinite with a mixture of high and medium settings, right, at native resolution. Here's some of the subtle design elements here. You see this little glass essence right there going across. There's a ROG eye there. Right above it says ROG Zephyrus. There's another little glass see-through into the main board. Here's the key. Okay, this one right here is the one that turns the secondary screen on and off. Here's your power button right here. Right, touchpad. You can also double click up here. Oh, it might be turned off, but you can double click up here. And what that'll do is turn this into a numpad. So if you have a so if you actually have a mouse, this can double as your numpad. All right. So here's a look at the keys, the secondary screen, the main screen. I can tilt back a little bit more, and I can shift up. All right, and close it so you can see some of this design here a little closer. All right, and that is my my thoughts, my impressions, my conclusion. Again, you know, I will be returning this. It's not a bad laptop. To each his own. I did highlight the things I liked, the things I didn't like, why I decided to keep it, why I would decide to return it. But the returning outweighs the keeping simply because I have a desktop and I have a laptop whose performance is not far behind it. So overall, it's a great laptop. I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe, especially if you're brand new. If you enjoyed it, also hit the thumbs up. Hit that bell notification so you can see more reviews, overviews, unboxing, comparisons, etc. on this channel. And I appreciate you guys for your support. Also, we have a Patreon. Check out the community tab for that. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll try to answer as much as I can. But I will be purchasing another laptop after this. I'll be getting another one after that and doing unboxing, overviews, thoughts, impressions, and conclusions. All right. Thank you for watching. Peace.